Whenever I listen back to something that I do, it just makes me feel weird.
She stood on a brightly lit stage at age 13, her voice raw and fierce. The audience sat in silence as Courtney Hadwin poured her soul into the song. No one expected a tiny girl from County Durham to shake a sold-out theater in America within seconds. Today, we will trace her astonishing rise, the moment that changed her life forever, and the tragedy that followed her dream. Stay with me as we narrate every twist and turn in Courtney Hadwin's journey, from a hopeful audition to a heartbreaking accident, and learn exactly how her spirit carried her through the darkest period of her life. They saw a fearless girl on stage, but what was the pain she hid behind that powerful voice? Before fame changed everything, who really was Courtney Hadwin behind closed doors? A little girl with big dreams. Courtney Hadwin was born on May 6, 2004, in Heselden, a small village in County Durham, England, to Anne-Marie Hadwin and Paul Hadwin. Her parents are hardworking, and even on busy days, they always found time to help nurture her talent in music. Young Courtney first heard soul music when she was very small. Her mother played music from different established artists. This helped her in her singing, as she had shown a passion for music at a tender age. She learned to tap her foot to strong rhythms and to hum along with different melodies. At age 3, she could dance with her hands up in the air whenever her parents played music in the house. Her love for music brought so much joy to her parents. They loved watching her do little performances in the house. The school introduced her to singing lessons at age 8. Her music teacher noticed her angelic tone and unique depth of voice. The teacher encouraged her to join the school choir. Weekly rehearsals in the school hall helped her grow more confident with each song she sang. Performing with classmates on stage at assembly gave her a sense of pride. She was nicknamed Rocker Girl by her schoolmates after they saw her sing and dance at the same time. She has a lot of confidence, and she was never shy about performing before a crowd. She enjoyed singing. Courtney Hadwin was deeply committed to her art. She never missed her music lessons. She learned to pay attention to breathing so her voice could reach the highest note. Early before school, she would practice vocal scales in her bedroom mirror and even write lyrics at that young age. At the age of 10, she formed a group of neighborhood children to sing and play within the hood. They called themselves Durham Soul. Their parents supported them in so many ways. They even contributed to purchasing guitars and drums for them. Small crowds could gather to watch them and sing along. Her community began to notice her talent. A reporter from a local newspaper wrote a short feature about a young singer with an angelic voice. The headline read, "A young girl brings soul to County Durham." That article made her parents proud, and it gave Courtney a reason to believe her voice mattered. She also went for training at Shotton Hall Theatre School, and Marie drove her to practice each weekend. The music teacher she found there worked with her on phrasing and control. Courtney learned how to shape her voice to match the emotion of each song. Expressing feelings through sound became her goal. Her first real stage was at a small festival in Durham City. Thousands of people came to watch. Standing under those lights made her feel nervous at first. Quickly, she found focus and gained confidence. When she finished singing the final song, everyone applauded her. Even those who did not know her name cheered because they felt moved by her great voice. Her friends and even classmates often asked her to sing at birthday parties and events within their neighborhood. Standing before a small group of familiar faces helped her learn to share her feelings through music. Each time she picked a song, she selected those with lyrics that she felt inside. That choice made every song beautiful and enjoyable for listeners. By age 12, her dreams had grown bigger than her hometown. She saved the pocket money given by her parents. She wanted to chip in and help them pay for her plane tickets. The idea of sharing her gift on a larger stage became her hope. Late at night, she wrote the goals she would love to achieve. This child was born talented, and this made her special. I can feel it. Can you? Support from family and friends made every step feel easier. Her mother always told her to work hard, stay humble, and remember her goal in life. Those words stayed with her as she prepared to travel far from home. Dreaming of a bigger world beyond Heselden became the first chapter of her story. She was just a kid with a suitcase and a dream, but would America see her gift or leave her forgotten in the crowd? What happened when she finally took the stage? The audition that stunned America. In the summer of 2018, 13-year-old Courtney Hadwin stepped off a plane in Omaha, Nebraska, carrying her small suitcase, a leather jacket, and a great determination. She had never been to the United States before. Family friends had warned her about jet lag and advised her to rest well after landing, but her mind was fixed on one goal, which was earning a place on America's Got Talent. On the morning of her audition, Courtney arrived at the CenturyLink Center feeling excited and nervous at the same time. Inside the holding area, hopeful singers and dancers practiced in small groups. Backstage staff called names at random, leaving contestants to wait in silence for their turn. Courtney Hadwin held her fedora in one hand and gripped her audition form in the other. She took a deep breath and followed the producers through a narrow hallway onto the stage. The judges' table sat under bright lights. Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Melby watched each act without applause until the final bit. When Courtney walked to the center of the stage, silence fell over the audience. She wore a little black leather jacket, a white shirt, and dark jeans. Her hair fell in loose waves around her shoulders. Silence spread through the hall as the band began the opening chords of Piece of My Heart. At first, her voice came out soft. She closed her eyes and felt the beat in her chest. In a moment, her true power burst forth. Her tone cracked with longing and strength. She stomped her foot in time with the music, moving like a singer twice her age. Every note held grit and feeling. Simon leaned forward, eyebrows raised. Heidi sat upright, with her eyes wide open. Howie covered his mouth with his hand, unable to hide his surprise. Melby tapped her fingers on the table, waiting for more. When the final chord rang out, the theater exploded in cheers. Judges stood and applauded her amazing performance. A special moment came when Simon hit his buzzer, sending a red light glimmering onto the stage. Courtney's eyes opened. She saw Simon smiling and reached for her fedora. She glanced at the judges and then at her mother, who was weeping tears of joy backstage. A producer handed her a microphone for a short interview. With a shaky voice, she said, "I love to sing. It makes me feel free." The simplicity of her answer touched viewers. Her performance clip spread across social media that same night. By morning, it had gained over 10 million views on YouTube. News outlets from the New York Times to BBC posted articles calling her the voice of a teen Janis Joplin. Headlines praised her fierce style and raw power. Newspapers in her hometown of Heselden ran front-page features describing how she had taken America by storm. Producers invited Courtney back the next day for a more private audition. In a glass room, cameras rolled as she met fellow contestants and judges. Again, she performed an original song written by her vocal coach, Laura, titled Heart and Soul. Even without the full stage lights, her voice carried emotion through every corner of the room. Simon praised her creativity in choosing a song that reflected her feelings. He said, "You are not just copying anyone. You are yourself." That moment proved critical. Judges ensured she would advance directly to the live shows. She left the audition room with a group of fellow performers, all hugging her and offering words of congratulations. In interviews, Courtney spoke about missing her family and friends, but she also admitted a growing sense of belonging on the America's Got Talent stage. That night, she received so many messages. She gained new fans across the world who praised her on different social media platforms. Messages poured in from as far away as Japan and Brazil, thanking her for sharing her music. One fan wrote, "Your voice makes me feel alive." Another said, "You remind me of my daughter." Courtney Hadwin was so overwhelmed with joy that she could not hold back her tears. She realized her singing had connected with people she would never meet. Over the next few weeks, videos of her audition continued to rack up views. Talk shows called for appearances. The Today Show invited her to sing on live television. She balanced her schoolwork with the ongoing task by attending online classes. She had the support of her parents, who helped her juggle. In every interview, she remained focused on singing rather than fame. Her journey from her hometown choir in England to a standing ovation audition in the United States showed both her talent and her courage. She was dedicated to her art, and it was her best shot. That audition became the moment the world discovered Courtney Hadwin. From that point on, nothing was the same. America's Got Talent had found its new star, and Courtney Hadwin had found her moment to shine. Overnight sensation. By the time live shows started, Courtney Hadwin was no longer just a contestant. She was a headline. Within hours of her audition airing online, viewers across the world fell in love with her. Fans shared videos of her performance on social media, tagging friends and family. News sites ran stories with titles like "Teen Rock Star from England Steals the Show." In less than one day, her video passed 10 million views on YouTube. Suddenly, this young girl from County Durham found herself at the center of a whirlwind she had only ever dreamed about. She arrived in Los Angeles under a special chaperone arrangement. Schoolwork kept her busier. Her tutor helped her with her schoolwork because she was constantly traveling, and she needed assistance to maintain her grades. She also created time to focus on her next performance. Each morning, she woke early to practice before breakfast. She warmed up her voice using different scales, stretching her chest and shoulders to support every note. Her coach watched carefully and offered guidance on timing and breath control. Small improvements each day built her confidence and made her more perfect in her craft. Afternoons brought rehearsals on the America's Got Talent soundstage. Bright lights hung overhead, and cameras moved on tracks to capture every angle. Courtney learned to work with spotlights and fog machines so that nothing distracted from her voice. She practiced walking with the microphone stand and learned to pause for dramatic effect at the end of each phrase. Producers and directors were amazed by her focus. One crew member said she handled each new challenge with maturity beyond her years. When live show week arrived, Courtney chose to sing "Maybe" by Janis Joplin. She stood on a stage framed by glowing arches and deep red lighting. Before she began, the audience sat in silence. Then she opened her mouth and let loose a strong, powerful sound filled with emotion. The crowd rose to its feet midway through the song, cheering so loudly that it filled the arena. Judges smiled and nodded in approval. After finishing, while still standing on the stage, confetti cannons burst, covering her in shimmering streamers. Cheers echoed for minutes. Her name could be seen on charts, music blogs, and fan sites. Within 24 hours, her performances ranked among the most viewed clips in the talent show's history. Talk shows called her team. They set up her first appearance on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. When she walked onto that stage, Ellen gave her a warm hug. They laughed as Ellen tried to sing a line with her gravelly tone. Courtney shared that she missed her dog back home and that hearing applause made her heart feel full. Next came The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy surprised her with a live drumbeat behind her as she sang a blues classic. The audience clapped to the rhythm. After the song, Jimmy and his bandleader, Questlove, praised her voice control and passion in music. They joked about forming a band together. Courtney laughed and said she would consider it once she finished her schoolwork. Every appearance added to her rising fame. Record labels sent offers for studio time. Merchandise companies asked about hoodies and t-shirts. However, Courtney stayed grounded. She remembered her mother's words, to sing to share joy, not for fame. After each interview, she called home to keep her family close. She watched messages from fans who felt hope through her music. She could journal short sentences such as, "Today, I sang for millions. Tomorrow, I will sing with my heart because I enjoyed it." From a single audition clip to worldwide recognition, Courtney Hadwin's journey became the story of an overnight sensation. Even so, behind the sudden fame lay hours of practice, a lot of focus, and the same goal she held as a little girl, to sing with all her heart. Millions knew her as the fearless girl with the powerhouse voice. But what happens when the spotlight fades, and a single rainy night changes everything forever? What really happened that night? The tragic night. In early October of 2018, Courtney Hadwin joined a small tour supporting fellow America's Got Talent finalists. After weeks of live shows, the group traveled by bus from Minneapolis toward Madison, Wisconsin. Their schedule showed back-to-back performances at different theaters. Courtney could always sit near a window, reading messages from fans on her phone. Outside, heavy rain tapped against the glass. The driver, experienced with long routes, kept a stable speed under highway lights. Other passengers rested on seats with blankets draped over their knees. Luggage lay in overhead racks, and instruments stood secured in padded cases. As they neared a curve on Interstate 94, none could predict that within seconds, their journey would take a sudden turn. At around midnight, the bus approached a stretch of road known for slick surfaces. Rain had poured for hours, and patches of water pooled along the shoulder. As the bus rounded the curve, a gust of wind pushed the vehicle toward the guardrail. The driver braked hard but could not regain full control. The bus skidded sideways for nearly 20 feet. Courtney, shifting in her seat, felt a jolt that threw her forward. Overhead cabinets sprang open, and cases slid from their stowed positions. The sound of metal scraping and glass tapping against metal echoed inside the bus. Then, with a final lurch, the bus came to rest against the guardrail. Silence followed the impact, broken only by muffled cries and the hiss of rain outside. Courtney rubbed her forehead where it had struck the luggage rack. She unfastened her seatbelt and stood slowly, checking herself for injuries. Her right knee throbbed sharply, and a trickle of blood ran down her temple. Fellow musicians got up from their seats ahead, shaken but conscious. The keyboardist held his wrist, wincing in pain. The manager of the tour pressed his shoulder, which bore a bruise from a loose case. Outside, headlights from passing cars highlighted the bus leaning against the barrier. A few motorists stopped to help, shining flashlights inside and calling emergency services. Within minutes, first responders arrived. 2 ambulances, a fire truck, and a highway patrol cruiser pulled up behind the bus. Paramedics boarded quickly, carrying stretchers and medical kits. They spoke calmly to each passenger, assessing injuries one by one. Courtney sat on a folding chair beside the bus. A paramedic gently examined her knee, confirming a fracture. He wrapped it in a soft brace and elevated her leg. Another responder cleaned the cut on her forehead. Courtney answered all the questions she was asked, describing the crash and her pain level. She agreed to be taken to a nearby hospital for x-rays and further care. At St. Mary's Hospital in Madison, doctors ran scans on Courtney. They confirmed a fracture of the right kneecap and a mild concussion. No surgery was needed for the knee, but she would require 6 weeks of limited movement and physical therapy. The concussion meant she should rest her head and limit screen time. Nurses put her into a private room. A doctor explained each step of the treatment plan, showing her a schedule for therapy sessions. Courtney agreed, but she kept asking questions about how she could return to singing safely. News of the crash reached people quickly. Social media feeds were filled with posts wishing her a swift recovery. A fan-created page organized messages that played like a slideshow on her bedside TV. Fellow contestants from America's Got Talent sent short videos expressing relief that no one had suffered life-threatening injuries. Judges Simon Cowell and Heidi Klum recorded get-well messages, praising Courtney's courage. A GoFundMe page appeared almost immediately, set up by a friend. It raised $32,000 in under 48 hours to cover travel and therapy costs. Courtney watched these messages with gratitude and a small smile, grateful for support from around the world. Meanwhile, tour dates were canceled.